Welcome to Secular Soup. Stay tuned for real talk about atheism, feminism, politics, parenting, and whatever the fuck else Amy and Amy want to talk about, because this is their show. And get ready for a whole lot of motherfucking profanity.
You want to hear a secret?
I won't tell anybody. Go ahead. If I sit next to you, I'm going to get gonorrhea. It's going to jump into me. Just two ladies hanging out.
Is it okay for me to make fun of his neck waddle if I make fun of my own neck waddle?
I'm not sure.
That's a real ethical conundrum.
Would you know if you were born a lizard person, or can you be like adopted into the...
I think you know.
We're such professionals.
We really are.
Buckle up, bitches. It's time to have some soup.
I'm Amy with a Y, and I am here this week again, Amy with an eyeless, because she's just going through some shit. But I have another friend here today, like I had Dell last week. Now I've got Brently with a Lee from the Unapologetix podcast, a friend of the show. I think you're supposed to say friend of the pod. I don't know. He's a regular. So Brent, introduce yourself and tell us about your show if people don't know.
Hello, I'm Brently. I do a show with my girlfriend Nikki, and it's just it's like a political commentary. I know I know a lot more now, but I knew nothing about politics, and so a lot of it is Nikki kind of just like woman-splaining to me how politics works, and it's pretty cool. Like, it's a lot of fun. We just goof off.
I think everybody can agree that Nikki is the better part of that show. I would think even you would agree with that, right?
I mean, that's where the information's at, you know?
Nikki's awesome.
Yeah, she really is.
But yeah, as it turns out, I always worry that people are going to get worried if I say, like, Amy's going through some shit, but it turns out that she is a patriot, and so she stormed the Capitol on January 6th. I don't know if you remember that happening.
Like you do.
I guess she was there, she was trying to get a hold of Trump because she missed him. And she just kind of got caught with the mob and just, started like stealing things out of the Capitol, and the FBI caught up to her, and it's kind of a nightmare, but hopefully she'll be back next week, or at least she can record from prison.
Right.
And we'll go from there. So.
At least it was for a good cause, you know?
It was, I mean, she's a patriot. Go America. She did it for Texas.
Right. Oh, God. Yeah, Texas. Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, Texas, you're the worst. So the reason I wanted to have you on, though, is because if people have been kind of listening for the past few episodes, I'm obsessed with the concept of unschooling right now. And I pulled both of my kids out of school, and we are doing unschooling, which is a form of homeschooling. And all I really know about homeschooling is the horror stories I hear from friends who grew up in Christian homeschools.
Right.
Like the evangelical hardcore, most of what they were learning, or most of the reason the parents were doing the homeschooling was to keep them from getting information. And so I worry about when I'm doing this with my kids, am I doing them a disservice by not having them in a regular school? But then I think, I'm not trying to keep any information away from them. I'm trying to make sure that they have and possibly get their hands on. But
that's sort of like, it's funny because like that was, if you're not looking for horror stories, I'm the worst person to bring up.
No, I love horror stories.
No, but that is like their attempt to do that. But you could almost do the opposite direction and be like, let me just give you all the information basically that. Like, I was just on another podcast, and we were talking about, the schooling and stuff, and how critical thinking should be taught in schools, and logical fallacies and whatnot, should be taught in schools. And I totally agree. The problem is that most of the curriculum that deals with logical fallacies and deals with these sort of things includes, like, here's why it's irrational to believe in God. That's sort of how they frame it. And based on, I've talked to a lot of teachers and stuff. I work for the public school board, so I know a lot of teachers and stuff. And that's it. They've shown me great, like, what do you think of this book? And yeah, and it's like completely framed around like the discussions around the existence of God, which is a great playground for like having these discussions, about being logical and these logical fallacies. But the problem is that people are going to get really pissed if you try to teach this at school, man. Like, so you can kind of go the opposite direction if you wanted to. I mean,
yeah, my whole. I've been doing so much fucking thinking, just in the past year, as I've been kind of gaining this new mindset about education and what it means and what I want it to mean for my kids. And, public schools do a really great job for a certain percentage of kids. Like, I did great in school. I loved it. I loved the social aspect of it. I loved everything. I found a lot of it boring, but it was fine. I would have gone to college forever if I could afford it. Like, I think it's awesome. But at the same time, it's really set up to, I don't want to use the word crush your dreams, but the way that it's structured is to get you to learn these very specific things, and that's what you're there to learn. And so the things that you might be naturally curious about or want to know more about, that stuff's all considered extra. That's something you have to do in addition to school, not as part of school. And so that was kind of what got me thinking, I'd rather my kids, you get interested in something and you want to know more about it. And I want them to be able to seek out the resources to find out more about that particular topic. And I'm kind of trying to go the absolute opposite direction, where I let them, we talk about logical fallacies and the scientific method. And every time, well, it's mainly my younger son now, because the older one he's almost 17 and he raised himself, so it's fine. But the younger one, any question he asks, these days I try to not answer it. I try to just be like, that's a good question. How are we going to find out? And I'll sit with him and try to figure out what the answer is. And a lot of times it's something I genuinely have no idea about, because it's nothing I ever learned. I don't fucking know. So I'm
just being honest about how would you figure this out? That's brilliant. That's actually a good way to do it. Honestly. Well,
and that's the one skill you need in life, is to know how to find appropriate information to answer the questions that you have and to solve the problems that are in front of you. But it's still daunting, because we live in a culture that is built around school, around public school. And, one of the main things I hear from friends who were homeschooled as Christians is that they feel really angry about some things that they missed out on, or that they didn't learn enough science, or that they weren't exposed to the critical thinking stuff. What are some things that you feel like you maybe got kind of cheated out of by being homeschooled? Are there things you can think of that you wish you had been to regular school to experience?
Oh yeah, absolutely. One of the main things that gets me is when I was taught science, which, keep in mind, science, the whole point of science is to evaluate our observable world. Right. And do experimentation to try to figure out how it works, and that's it. That's what it is. And the science that I learned was why this is bullshit, why that's a bullshit way you should do things, and it was all they're lying to you. All the scientists have this embargo against God or whatever, and they know your God exists, but they're really mad about it. And so they're going to try to teach you that that's not true. And so here's our version of it, because you have to start from the presupposition that our God exists. Our interpretation of that God is true. The world was created in 6 days. All these things. And so it's that, and if you're starting from that as a presupposition, it really flies in the face of all science. And so a method, I never learned there was a method. I just knew science was science, and it was just people coming, just making proclamations of truth. because of, they need these things to be true for their worldview to fit. And so it took me into my 30s until I realized, that's actually all bullshit. There's no they don't care about your God. Your God's not that important, man. Like, everybody's not just like, oh man, we know the Christian God's real, but we just got to pretend like he's not. That's not that's just not the way anything fucking works.
So were you basically taught, this intrigues me, taught to believe that the whole kind of point of science, or the whole aim of scientists, was just to disprove God, like that, like their mission in being scientists was to disprove your God?
Yeah, and yes, to a particular degree. And of course, we have sciences that don't, they're sort of irrelevant to whether or not the God question, you know what I mean? But so those sciences are fine, right? Okay. But there's a lot
like the scientists that study, like, I'm trying to think of something that would have nothing to do with the God question.
Well, like our phones, like our, mechanics or whatever, the way things work. Engineering, there we go. Yeah, like, then just like computers, all that stuff. Oh no, all that science is legit, but the ones that are based on like biology, and I have to say it's the most fundamental forms of biology because it's all based off of evolution, which is our best, it's our, it's really our best conclusion that we can come to, based on the evidence, that all of that is wrong. And I even had a science book that shoehorned in the word kind in the kingdom, phylum, class, order. Kind, genus, species. Like, they had to like
for the intelligent design people.
And so I'm like, and it's so weird. Like, and I would be talking to people and be like, no, but there's the word kind is in that list. Like, it's not though. And I'm like, yeah, it is, man. I got my fucking science book right over here. And they're like, yeah, well, that's a bullshit science book, dude. Like, and you're like, I learned it in school. It's hard to, because you don't get it until you finally figure out that, that was for a particular purpose. They were trying to make it so that what they needed to think was true. While also teaching you, about animals and all sorts of stuff.
Well, I feel like that it really plays into the persecution complex too, really. I mean, that people are persecuting us, and that's why we need to believe strongly and teach our kids that scientists are just out to disprove God. And it fits nicely in with that victim mentality, I think, that especially evangelical Christians have. Did you have the type of homeschooling where, like, time was blocked out during the day and you sat down and you had like a fake classroom in the house type thing and a curriculum? What was it like for you growing up?
Well, we went through different processes because I was, I was very slow at just learning, basic stuff. Because I'm dyslexic. I have, a form of dyslexia that's, it's not like the worst one where everything's backwards. Like, it's not that bad, but, it's still, it makes it more difficult. So they struggled, to do the schooling. And so, like, regular schooling, homeschooling, and we had a homeschool group that had a curriculum and a way to, like, they would help out all the parents to be like, here's how you should teach your kids and stuff like that. But at first, it was a lot of just read this, and we had what they called life packs. And they were these just little workbooks that they would provide for all of us. And, they were just like, have them read the life pack, fill it out, check it at the end, and try to talk to them about what, they got wrong or whatever. And that was the basis for it for a long time.
Okay.
But you have to be a good reader and you know what I mean, to be able to do that stuff, And were you, like, did your parents teach you to read? Did you ever go to public school at all? I did do 1 year of elementary school. I think it was like, or I did do kindergarten at a Christian school. Okay. And then I think I did 1 year of public education in, like, I want to say first or second grade, one of those two. And, I was starting to become friends with kids that were clearly not religious.
The wrong kind of kids.
Yeah. So that ended really quickly. And it was funny, too, because, like, it didn't take me long to realize I was the fucking weirdo in the school. Because reality is different for me, as far as, like, what, is going on and everything. And it was just a completely different world. So I was pretty much pushed to the side. And I think I did 2 weeks at an elementary school, a middle school. And that was just, nope. I was God. I'm not doing this. I can't.
Middle school is the fucking worst anyway. Even if you're not coming from a different background, like middle school, I feel at this point like middle school should just be fucking dismantled completely.
I agree.
It's the worst time. And I was thinking the other day about how cruel it is that at least in our school system, you have physical education and you do all these fun things when you're in elementary school. And then as you get older, you do different stuff in gym class. And one of the things that we did in middle school was swimming. And, you're making all of these kids that are in 6th and 7th grade wear swimsuits in front of each other in a mixed, like a co-ed, when you're the most self-conscious about your body, like you're the most just... What the fuck makes you need to learn to swim at that point?
Right.
Either do it when they're younger, because, we live in Minnesota and it actually is a very important life skill to have around here. But, really? You're going to do it
really?
When tweens?
When can you swim in Minnesota? Like, can you actually swim in Minnesota?
Oh, yeah.
At some point?
It's land of 10,000 lakes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of water.
Without dying of fucking, hypothermia.
I mean, there's a lovely 1 or 2 months every summer where you can actually use the lakes and swim. That's about it. But you cram everything into those 2 months, which is it's so true. If you are getting married in Minnesota, all of the weddings are happening from the end of May to the beginning of September. Summer is just... all you get. We've had... Wow. My husband and I have had summers where every fucking weekend we were at a wedding or somebody's birthday party. Because you try to cram everything into the summer so that in the winter you can just stay home and not have to go anywhere.
Right.
Which, in fact, one of the things that just drove me nuts about school, my experience with school and my kids' experience with school, was that for recess, they force your ass outside in the winter for recess.
Damn.
God damn it. No, sorry. Oh, that's good. I'm getting an Instacart order, and now I'm getting 7,000 texts saying, Kimberly's shopping for you. Great.
We didn't have that kind of mayonnaise, so we had to...
Well, no, get this. So, I ordered Instacart yesterday, and that bitch missed 4 of my items. I got charged for them. They just didn't get here.
Oh, that's...
And I didn't realize it until today. Because I didn't feel good last night, so I'm just going to basically go to bed early. And so when the Instacart came, my husband got it and put it all away, and he didn't know what I fucking ordered. Right. And so today I'm going to look for my snacks, and I'm like, what the fuck? Why aren't oh no, those never came. And I started looking through the list, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
I'd be livid.
4 fucking things. And we got donuts that I did not order any donuts, but we paid for them and we got them. They weren't even the good donuts. And half the reason I had ordered Instacart is because I really wanted some ice cubes, which is terrible, but I'm just obsessed with crunching on ice cubes right now. It's probably a nutritional deficit. I don't know. But she didn't bring the fucking ice. I'm like, that's what I wanted.
I was going to say, you don't have a freezer, man?
We do, but the amount of ice I have been going through, I need a 5-pound bag that I can keep in the downstairs freezer.
The kind of the ice cubes that they got where they have the little donuts, they're these little things with the hole in the middle. Yep. Oh, I could just...
you know what I do though? I smash them with a meat hammer. I take the whole thing and I smash it with a meat hammer so they're in smaller chunks. I've been doing this for weeks. So yeah, now I had to place, I bitched to Instacart and got my refund for the other stuff, and now I placed a second order, and we'll see if I get my fucking ice later today. I don't know. At any rate, that's not what we were talking about.
Sorry. Yeah, no. Hey, but that's the beauty of this show. It's great.
So recess, as a child, having to go outside in the middle of winter for recess made me not want to go to school at all. Like, if I could choose, I would have just not gone because I dreaded that part of the day so fucking much.
Damn.
And my kids felt the same way. Like, once it started getting really cold out, my son would be like, I don't want to go to school today. And it was because it's freezing out. And they treat it like it's, like, I get that it's easier to have all the kids go outside because the teachers need their break and they need a quiet time, and it's logistically it's easier. But like,
that's what a gym is for.
That's
right?
what the gym is for, exactly.
Fuck, dude. Like
if it's raining out, they have a backup plan. When it's like a rainy day, kids can choose to go to the gym or stay and read or go to the library. Like, there's choices, and they can kind of pick which one they want to do. But no, they have a temperature, I think it has to be negative 10 degrees out before they will let them stay inside for recess.
What?
And it doesn't matter how many goddamn layers you have on, your face is always freezing. And it's hard to move. And like, again, some kids love that, and they love to play in the snow and have a snowball fight, and you play King of the Hill where you get up on a snow mound, and there's lots of fun stuff to do. But kids like me, who fucking hated the cold. Yeah. I would literally stand by the door that went inside and just stand there for like half an hour waiting for them to open the door back up so I could go in.
I could feel the little bit of warmth coming out from the cracks.
Yeah, I'm kind of in this little like cove where there's a little, and if I just stand here really still, maybe if I press my face against the glass, they'll come sooner. But like shit like that is like, why? Why are we torturing kids with that? I don't understand the point of it.
That's awful.
Like, would you want to be forced to be outside when it's freezing out? No, but we do it to kids because it's okay to force kids to do things. I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
they have to do it. Like, what are they going to do? Call their fucking kid union? They'd be like, the student union decided.
That's what I don't know if you've heard about this, but there's this concept called the Sudbury Schools. And I've been watching all kinds of YouTube videos about them, but they're basically schools where kids do whatever the fuck they want. Nice. And they have, like, every kid in the school, they call it a democratic society. So every kid in the school has a vote, and every vote counts as much as any other vote, including the staff members. Huh. And so collectively, they make decisions about hiring. Like, staff don't get hired unless the majority of kids agree on it.
Holy shit.
The teachers have to reapply every single year, and the kids have to agree to it. And like, but it's fascinating. You watch these videos and they take it really seriously, and you start to realize they're treating every single kid like a person, which is really not how we normally do things.
Yeah, that's not...
Like, as much as pro-lifers like to say it, they're really not treating babies or kids like people. They're just treating them like little things that don't, I don't know. It's...
That's odd, but that's fascinating at the same time. I'd love to see how that...
It really is. Well, and the concept is... It's kind of the same concept as unschooling, which is... Nobody is ever going to learn anything they don't want to learn. Like, you can be taught to recite something or memorize something, but you're never going to fully understand it in a meaningful way unless you really want to, or unless there's a goal you're trying to reach and understanding that thing gets you there. So, like, if you want to get a high school diploma and you have to learn how to spell these words or know what these historical events were, you will learn them, even if you don't want to, and even if you don't like them, you'll learn them on a very surface level. And you'll learn them just enough to get through your classes so that you can pass the class, at which point you will just not give a fuck about that knowledge for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it falls right out of your brain.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
it's over. Yeah.
So we basically spend all this time just forcing kids to memorize things that may or may not be meaningful to them in the future, and that they may or may not need to know, and that every kid is different. Like, there are kids that there's different learning styles, there's different, like dyslexia, different learning disabilities, there's different interests. And so basically they make the school just this big building with resources for kids. They have an awesome music room, and they have, a huge gym, and they have a lab for science stuff. And so, like, if you wanted to learn to play guitar, you could go to school and just do that for 5 weeks. Just play guitar. Like, and really dig into it. And they've found that, the kids actually become so much more curious because they're allowed to kind of chase those things that make them curious, instead of being told, no, that's not something you need to learn. You need to learn this thing over here. And I don't know, the more you think about it, the more it's like, yeah, I'm 43 now, and I enjoy learning so much more now than I did as a kid, because now I'm learning things I want to know. Something pops into my head and I'm like, I wonder where that, and I seek that out, or I watch a documentary, or, when you're a kid, you're kind of floating by trying to memorize enough shit to get through the day. And then you've probably got, 7 sports you're on besides that, where you're being yelled at to do really well. And just, I don't know, man, being a kid is hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's exactly, it's tough. And I think one of the things, like, apropos what you're saying, like, I remember, like, growing up and, thinking that just smart people were just, like, they knew what they knew, and, like, they knew all the stuff, and, like,
Yeah.
And I feel like I didn't learn literally anything until I finally was like, I could be mistaken, and understand that fully. Yeah. Of just like, I could be wrong, because there were so many things that I wasn't allowed to even say that on, right? Like, so there were so many things where I was just like, no, you can't be mistaken about this. You have to always defend it. It has to fit in to everything you think is true.
Yeah.
You have to believe all these things, and that you can't possibly be mistaken. So finally, when I was just like, I could be mistaken, and just own that, and be like, hey, I'm okay being like, I don't know, like, and that's okay. That took me a while to get to that point, because the fact that people are like, no, you need to know, like, you need to act like these stuff, like, was drilled so heavily into my brain that once that happened, once I was like, I only know what I know, and that's it. And I could easily be mistaken, because I make a lot of mistakes regularly. and admitting that and being honest about that was the time. And it was just about, like 4 years ago that happened. And now I feel like it's just been like a flood of knowledge, and I get my family going, okay, smarty pants, and like, I'm like, I'm just admitting that I don't know stuff.
But to you, it's like exciting, or like the process of learning those things and knowing new things. That's exciting to you, right?
Oh yeah, that's
you
fascinating.
Enjoy learning it, and I feel like we beat the joy of learning out of kids at an early age. You see it when they're really little, when they're in elementary school, and they love going to, for most kids anyway. Again, this is not true of all kids, but so many kids will love going to elementary school because there's so much fun stuff to do, and they, learning is made to be fun. And then as you get closer to middle school, there's this whole, you gotta buckle down mentality, and this is gonna be on your permanent record, and so much of it is geared towards standardized testing that we turn learning into a chore that kids have to do. Not something that they want to do or something that they enjoy, just something they have to do to get through their childhood. And so, of course, they don't want to then seek out more information when they're at home or in their own free time, because they've figured out that learning is just a chore you have to do. And
then college, forget about it. It's just some fucking, like, dude with, like, suede elbow patches, like, talking in monotone while you're supposed to.
And college, I feel like, because I loved college, but I loved college because of the lack of rules. Because if I didn't want to be in a class, I didn't fucking go. And nobody took my attendance, and nobody, like, made sure I was And I failed a lot of classes because of that. But the things I was learning, I was fascinated by, and I would dig into them. And
you chose it.
What was that?
You chose it.
I chose it.
I want to
exactly.
learn about this.
It was something I wanted to know about. It wasn't something that other people were saying, here, you need to learn this thing. And I feel like so much of the curriculum we have now, we haven't stopped in a long time to ask ourselves, why is that particular thing something that we think everybody needs to know? Like when you look at advanced math, you know,
I don't want to. I don't want to look at advanced math.
I don't want to learn it. I don't fucking need it. It has no relevance to my life.
My brain just
especially
doesn't like
now when you've got a calculator in your fucking pocket at all times. Like but there are kids who are fascinated by math, and they should keep going with it, and they shouldn't have to stop to start learning about Shakespeare, because what makes Shakespeare so great? Why not some other artist? Why... You know, we've created this canon of learning.
Yeah.
And I just think, but why though?
I totally agree with you. Like that they tried to push everything into this, like you have to learn this particular way.
Yeah.
You know, and that just turns people off from learning, you know.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the problem we have in America, is just that learning is looked on as this, like you're a know-it-all if you're smart, or you're an elitist, or you're stuck up, or it's education and learning turns into a bad thing,
right? And
I don't know. I feel like it really just fucks up America, because then we end up with Trump. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of the whole thing with the Capitol is just like it's the culmination of like everybody not understanding things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and refusing to admit that they might not know, like you were talking about. That you need to be comfortable realizing that you don't know things, that you could be mistaken, like you said.
Right, because that's just so difficult for people, it seems, when they have that, especially that particular ideology, because it's like, you stand for, we are a Republican family, and you are too, and you have to believe these certain things, and they're serious about that
and
shit,
they double down. Like there's no... Yeah. It seems like the people who are the least informed about a topic are the ones that double down the hardest on it. Which is just infuriating. But.
Well, and that's like the basis of like most conspiracy theories, is just misunderstanding things to a level that it's really easy for someone to lie to you, because you don't actually understand the way that this process functions. Yeah. And so if somebody was like, hey, these machines didn't work, whatever, you'd just be like, okay, they're machines. Machines are, I know hackers exist. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, the machines must have been. It's like, no, but that doesn't work that way, because like it just counts the paper ballots, like that's all it does, but they don't know that, they think it's fully digital, and they think it's easily hackable, and it's really sad. And
it doesn't occur to them to do more meaningful research on it, because they already have someone telling them this is the way it is. So
you actually have a motivating force to get you to not research.
Exactly.
And you'll not like I used to not research. Like when people would point out that my conspiracies were flawed, you just need to research X, Y, or Z, whatever it is, government functions or whatever. I would purposefully not do that. Like I would be like, okay, I'm going to research it. And then I'd skip like 20 fucking articles before I got to the one that was like, oh, this one agrees with me. Here we go. Mm-hmm. And it was, of course, the one that I picked is the one that's the least informed of the, the article. It's just some, Joe Blow schmo in his mom's basement, like, hey, look at it this way,
So as a kid who was homeschooled, so there's this bias people kind of have, or this assumption people have, that homeschooled kids are very antisocial or very awkward, or they don't get enough chances to interact with other kids or other people. Did your family belong to one of those like co-ops where they would get together and do activities together, or did you have any outlets for friendship outside of your immediate family? How did that work for you?
Yeah, no, I actually, well, I mean, our family, maybe it's just genetic, I don't know, but we're like very just sociable. Like, we're just, that's just the way we are. But
No.
right? No, but I get where that whole fucking thing comes from, because holy shit, yeah, we did some like functions, and you're just like, these people are fucking freaks, dude. Like, what's wrong with them? Why can't they like just talk normal or whatever? Like just be friendly with other. So I get like where people get that from, and it's from a particular. Some of us just are better at interacting, but when people aren't that great at interacting, and then you basically set the environment to be like they don't have to, they get weirder. What I mean? Like it just ups the weirdness, and so so like but we did actually do a lot of functions and stuff like that and I was at church like literally every day. I practically lived at church, and so like I knew a lot of my church friends. I had a lot of a social life with them, and then I also had neighborhood kids,
Oh, sure.
and so that was helpful in that regard. But I get where they're coming from as far as that being a stereotype, because it kind of is. Like, I mean, it was like, I want to say like 80%, if I were to like put a percentage on it. 80% of the kids just did not know how to interact with other humans.
Oh, wow.
And it was just weird.
Well, and I think at least the one positive thing we have, well, it could go either way, positive or negative, thing that we have now is the internet, which at least kids now have an option for interacting with other people, even if they aren't out playing with the kids in their neighborhood, or if they're not at school all day. There is this other way to make friends and meet people. And in a certain aspect, especially with my older son, I feel like it's possible for him to connect with people who are more like him. And, I suppose that could be good or bad, because you should be able to interact with all different kinds of people. But he's got these very meaningful friendships that are totally online. Like, they don't hang out ever. But they're on, they're gaming every single night, and it's the same people. And, and it's like that with any social media, whatever. Everybody says bad shit about social media, but at the same time, that's where you meet a lot of people and you form meaningful friendships with them. And, especially people who live in rural areas or just don't have a lot of access to social events or different kinds of people. I'm glad that kids have that now, but of course the scary thing is, so how do we get them to have all the good stuff from the internet?
Right.
And not all the really bad stuff from the internet.
Yeah, because you're absolutely right. Like, it can, like, go either way, right? Like, you can have...
Like, it can just be porn 24/7 if they want to.
Right. Like, the internet's... it's unlimited resources to all the information that humans have collected up until this point, which is phenomenal. That's a great thing to have.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's a whole bunch of misinformation. I think the best, and it connects all these different people, together, which is awesome. That can be such a positive thing. Look what we're doing right now. It's like, it's so cool that we were, because you're in fucking Minnesota. We're in Florida. There's no way we would have met outside of the internet. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a good thing in a lot of respects. But like, but there is also a lot of misinformation. I think the best way to combat that is just being like, teach, like we were talking about, that teaching that critical thinking, and like, look, everybody's like trying to lie to you, not necessarily because they're actually trying to lie to you, but because they have an agenda or whatever, or they've been indoctrinated into a particular agenda. And so it's getting the kids to just simply recognize that at an early age, I think would kind of quell all of those sort of problems that could.
I remember, our oldest son, when he was younger and would watch YouTube, he got really into conspiracies for a little while.
Oh no!
And, I mean, it was a chance to like. He would tell us something. He'd be so excited about these videos and these different conspiracies, and we'd be like, okay, but does it make more sense that this is the case, or do you think it makes more sense that this is the case? And, what do you think the person who made the video, what do you think their goal was in making the video? And, I mean, there's YouTube is a way to actually have some decent conversations with your kids about figuring out what's true and what's not true. And what people's motivations are. And, and he's gotten past the conspiracy theory thing.
Oh, good.
And now, he's not, now he's just like, oh my God, conspiracy theories are so ridiculous. He's really into, awesome. His thing lately has been the protests in Hong Kong. And he'll tell me about them, and I'm like, I'm a typical American who doesn't follow international news because it's just too much news, and I don't. He's just like, Mom, it's important. You should know about it. And I'm like, I know, you're right. I just don't wanna.
I gotta find me a good podcast about it. I'll be in.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, why don't you make a show about it and I'll watch it if you're in it?
There you go. Like, that's the majority of where I get my information about international news is the Daily.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Here's what you need to know.
We had these neighbors who were they were not homeschooled, but they went to the local Christian school, and the local Christian school is fucking bananas. Like, it's been here forever. It's, an evangelical. No, I take that back. I think it's a Baptist church.
Oh, they're
school.
The worst. No.
Oh, yeah.
We were evangelicals, so.
Yeah, like, I can't tell if it's specifically for Baptists or if it's just for any garden variety extremist Christian. I'm not entirely sure. But our neighbors went there, and for a while they rode the bus, but then they weren't allowed to ride the bus anymore because their parents found out that people swore on the bus.
Oh, my fucking.
And so they couldn't have their ears,
That was my mom. Like, that was my family, dude. Like, honestly, if there was a way to hear swearing, they would stop it.
Do you feel like people I feel like they were just ill-equipped to handle life. How do you go through such a sheltered childhood and then have to be exposed to everything else in the world? And I just, I don't know. I remember just thinking, that sucks. They can't, right? Because we actually had fun on the bus. Our friends were on the bus, and that was like your kind of social time after school. But no, they got driven into school so they wouldn't have to hear the swears.
Right. For me, I just did a bunch of drugs because, that was that was the only way I felt like I could connect with people. Like, once you leave the super sheltered thing, I didn't know how to, and I'm a very sociable person, so like I wanted to socialize with people, but I didn't understand how to, and drugs just made it easy, and it was just like, oh, you do this, I do that too. Okay, now we're part of our little mini club, of people that do this drug, whatever.
Almost like an instant friend family, a little clique.
The sad thing was that the weed one didn't work out as well because I would just get completely silent and be like, God's watching me.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man. Oh, no. So, like, I got into the wrong drug, the bad ones, because the ones that would just be like, no, your brain's totally shut off now, and now you're somebody else that's just really happy to be here.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. I get. I've known a couple of people who were Christian homeschooled who just turned right to the drugs after high school, and part of it was, oh my God, all of a sudden they have access to all these things and all these people, and they've never. Like, I don't know. It's like they jump off the deep end and just go the other direction.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I did. And, because and also, they're always talking about, oh, drugs are so bad and this and that. And then you you think that, and I heard that there was a drug that you could see things that weren't actually there. And that fascinated the fuck out of me. I was like, how does that even work? What is this? What, how? What do you mean? Like, you see cartoons or what? No, you don't. And it's a very unpleasant experience for those particular types of drugs. But by the way, for everybody out there, it's not as cool as the movies make it seem. It's terrifying. Yeah. But
you don't need to try it now because Brent already told you.
I'm telling you. Yeah. I mean,
I take your word for it. The way we teach about drugs is a whole nother episode podcast. Just, oh my God, we do such a disservice to kids in the way that we talk about drugs and teach them about drugs, because this whole just say no approach and treating all drugs as though they are equally bad
Yeah.
And that there is never any way to take a drug responsibly ever. You're just probably going to die if you take any drugs.
Yeah, or go crazy or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, like we need to, much like everything else, tell kids the truth about shit.
Yeah, there's gradation there. Like there's certain things that are bad, you know.
There's weed and there's heroin, and those are different. And like
they're not similar, like literally at all. Like
No.
it's a completely different thing. And yeah, it's almost like sex. Where if you're taught, and this I've had problems with this even in like coming into the atheist community and stuff, because you know, sex is like talked about as like, for me, and understanding, oh, it's just this completely bad thing, like you should never talk about it, you should never think about it, you should never do anything that's in relation to sex. And so for me, when I went to the, you know, came to the atheist community, I'm like, so then everything's okay now, right? Like it's, I don't even, you know, anything's, you know, I can say whatever the fuck I want when it comes to sex, and it doesn't work that way either. But that's sort of the dichotomy that they set up that that fucks my head.
You're not taught any sort of I don't want to say decision making skills, but you're not taught about nuance at all. Like there's no nuance there whatsoever. And oh, hold on a second. My Uncle Ben's long grain and wild rice is out of stock. God damn it! She replaced the fucking. But God damn it! Apparently, she couldn't get ripe avocados, and the extra large tortillas are out of stock, and this is just chaos. It's chaos.
So I couldn't get the avocados. So oranges are a good substitute, right? Right?
I had actually put, you know, just you can put instructions on each thing. So I'm like, just. Please do your best to get ripe avocados if you like. I put it really nicely, and because like I want to make guacamole today.
Is that when they feel squishy, like they squish in your hand?
Yeah, you gotta be able to squish them a little bit. If they're really hard, they're useless. She said, unfortunately, they are all pretty hard and not ripe. Oh, God damn it. Well, you know what? I guess I'm going to have to let my younger son have the meat hammer and just whack at the avocados until we have guacamole.
You just got to hang them on the wall in a little bag.
Pretty much,
and then and let them go until they're...
That's been the one of the most interesting things about having my younger son at home all the fucking time now. And being his primary means of learning things,
right?
Is like every time I'm about to do something or work on a project or cook something or basically anything, I always invite him to help. Like, do you want to do this with me? Or do you want to see how I do this? And sometimes he does, and sometimes he doesn't. And but I also try, you know, he'll come up to me and be like, I have an idea. And so I'm always like, okay, and I try to let his ideas play out as much as humanly possible.
Right.
And just because part of life is experimenting with things and learning how to fail well so that you learn the next time. And
yeah.
But there's times where he's doing something and I'm just like I know he's going to fail at that. That is not going to work out well, but I can't say that because he needs to know it himself.
Right. Yes.
So yeah, there's been a lot of... he was putting spackle on the wall because we're going to repaint the hallway, and he just was not doing it the right way, but I just had to stand there and like, it's okay. I can sand it down later. It's not a big deal. And just,
right, that's
you
true.
know. But
so I almost would be like, there's a YouTube video here. Yeah, I just kind of want you to watch. Here is how to spackle the wall.
Yeah, no, and he will not. He's like me. He wants to learn things by just doing them. And if he fucks it up, well... In my case, if I fuck it up, I'm like, better do that again and find a new way to do it. With him, it's like, I'm terrible at it. I'm never, ever touching it again. So I've been trying so hard to get him comfortable with failing and just being like, you know, the only way you learn things is by failing a few times, you know?
See, and that's probably good. I'm like the type that'll just be like, let me watch like 17 YouTube videos, and then when I fuck up, I'm like, oh, all is lost.
It's worthless.
All lost. I watched all the videos. Yeah.
Well, I do. Even like if I'm going to do something, God damn it, the internet, I can learn how to do any goddamn thing I want to by either a YouTube video or like a WikiHow. And yesterday, I learned how to put anchor screws in the wall, and now I'm just going all over the house putting in, you know, hooks to hook things on because I can do it. And trying to organize everything.
For no reason. Like, why is this right under the light switch? Like, hey, just calm down, okay? I'm trying to
everything's
do a
fine.
thing.
I'm making a few changes. It's good. But I feel like that's the stuff that's real life stuff that you need to know. That's real life knowledge. And
Absolutely.
I mean, if you think about it, your day-to-day existence as an adult doesn't usually revolve around Shakespeare or around that frog that you dissected in biology class. Or like,
Right.
But it does revolve around every day hearing something and going, shit, I want to know more about that, or I need to know how to do that, or how am I going to get that accomplished? And so you really need to have the skills to do that, to figure shit out. I don't know.
And start from a basis, because and that's such a good example too, because like a lot of I think the conspiracy thought and stuff is like already coming in acting as if you know how to do it.
Yes.
And then even when it fucks everything up, you're just like, well, it's still right though. It's still right.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, man. Like, I think that's where I had like such a problem with my family, and talking about stuff was just like, we went from.
Well, do you feel like evangelical Christianity, especially, it seems to me like it doesn't leave much room for failure. Like if you fail, you have failed, especially when it comes to sin, or when it comes to, sleeping with someone before you get married, or like, I don't know, do you feel like there was always a pressure to just do things perfectly and not fuck them up ever?
Yeah, and it kind of keeps you from doing anything at all. You know what I mean? Like,
you get sort of paralyzed and.
Yeah, you get terrified to even try anything, and anything that you do, and it puts this like, and I feel like this is more the connection with the conservative thought, and republicanism that kind of is, stuck to the Christian faith that I was in. It was like this whole, you're responsible for literally everything. You are personally responsible. Everything is your fault. In the situation that you're in, no matter what it is, doesn't fucking matter. You could have risen to the top had not you know what I mean? Had not you fucked up or whatever it is. And so it puts this incredible, like, a weight upon you that everything, all the reasons that you're not a millionaire right now are your fault. Yeah. And you just didn't do it right. You just didn't America correctly. And it's and
that
so
means it's the same for everybody else. If there's something wrong in their life, it's their own fault. So why worry about helping them?
Exactly. Yeah, it makes it, and so, and I feel like that's where a lot of the vitriol and anger comes from, is that whole, feeling of them not being able to kind of level up or kind of match up to like what they expect of themselves, and then by extension, that's what they expect of everybody else.
Yeah, which is an impossible standard. Like it just is. You cannot be perfect unless you're Donald Trump. Just going to throw that in there. He's
right, we're just going to deny.
Perfect specimen of a human being.
It's like, what are you talking about? I did it perfect. It was perfect. It's amazing.
I was watching this movie called The Comey Rule on Showtime or something. It's either on Showtime or HBO Max. I have no idea. But I had to quit watching the second half because of the guy that played Trump. And it was, he did a really good job, but it was like Trump, only even scarier. It's like Jesus. Horror movie Trump kind of. Like, I can't watch this. It's so bad.
Here's Donald.
I'm scared now. Donald fucking Trump. Yeah. So anyway,
he's like down the street from me now. It's
all I think about lately is new ways I can fuck up my children's futures, and I spend a lot of time going, oh God, how am I going to fuck it up today? And then I think, I look around at all of these just idiotic people in the world and think they all have high school diplomas,
So
I know a lot of dumb people that graduated from high school.
I couldn't be possibly doing that bad. Like, honestly,
Yeah, exactly.
And I think you're taking the right route. It's just letting them learn, and homeschooling isn't always bad. Like, it's not always bad. Like, most of us that had these experiences, we had these experiences for a particular reason, which was they were trying to keep us from actually understanding the world because they didn't want us to understand the world on purpose.
Yeah. Which is so unfortunate. I feel like, when you're a kid is when you're absorbing things really like a sponge, and it feels like you got cheated from learning a whole bunch of things that you could have known earlier. I don't know.
Right. And it's like I remember before Left at the Valley was canceled, I went on an episode where a psychologist was on there, and I gave my story, and he kind of like gave me his assessment of like what went wrong. And the majority of it was that the fact that they have to put in what they believe are systemic truths, it kept me from being curious on purpose. Like the curiosity was the thing they were trying to stop, And so that was like the main. So if you can do that, like, I think it's still a good thing. I have an education. I took my GED. I did okay.
Yeah.
But it was like, but the fact that they were trying so hard to stop my curiosity was really the main factor that caused me to have so much trouble. You know,
I feel like kids when they're little have that natural curiosity, and it seems like, at least in my life, you go through such a chunk of time where you just don't have that anymore, and then I feel like now that I'm older, I've rediscovered that and want to know all these new things and learn how to do things. And I don't know, I wonder what life would have been like had I maintained that level of curiosity through my whole life.
Right. And I feel like it was almost as like the same thing. Like I'd be just curious about things that just because of, like you said, childhood curiosity. Yeah. And I'd get shut down. Like, you're not allowed to be curious about that. You need to stop.
Yeah.
And that was like, something I think is just kind of, and it made me fearful because I'm not allowed to be curious about X, Y, and Z. But then they're telling me I need to be curious about this over here, and it was a whole lot of like not trying to figure out like what actually is, and just get your assessment of like what this book says, read the words, and then try to and basically tell people to do the conspiracy thought thing and draw connections between things that don't actually make sense. But they used if here, and the word if is very important. It was like, as far as like, reading Bible verses and stuff, and assess that with all the curiosity. But but as far as like, questioning its validity or anything like that, no.
I think we
not.
we kind of train kids to be like, it's good to be curious about these things, but these other things, you don't need to be curious about those because they're not pertinent to your life. Like you're almost taught that if it's not something that you need for future employment or something that you're going to need in your adult life, then why bother learning it?
Right.
Which is just, it's depressing. Like, there's so much cool shit out there to learn.
Just for whatever.
But we spend a lot of time telling kids, no, don't investigate that, because you've still got to investigate your 15 worksheets that you have for science class. So get curious about that and make it fun. And like, and kids can't live up to that. They're I don't know.
That's why you can't just throw a structure like that at them. Like, be like, be curious about this, don't be curious about this. We have the answers for this, and these are answers you're not allowed to question. But be curious about other stuff.
I feel like as a mom, I had a lot of guilt for a long time about, when your kids are little, you're supposed to make them readers. You want them to love reading. And if you just do these few things, they're going to love reading. And, you have to read to them all the time, and read while you're pregnant, and then read when they're babies, and read. Because the goal is you want them to be a reader. And the more I sit down and think, and my kids just didn't fucking like reading.
But some people just don't,
They never
I hate reading, but I love listening. I'm a great listener.
Yeah,
when it
wanna
comes to
learn
books.
things, but you're kind of taught that if you're not the type of person who's constantly reading books instead of watching TV, then you're wasting your life somehow. And if you don't love to read, or if your kid doesn't love to read, you failed at some aspect of parenting.
Right.
And it's like, what if my kids just don't fucking enjoy reading? Is that okay? Like, they know how, they just don't want to do it.
No. They need to enjoy it.
Yeah,
You need to make them enjoy it. Like,
yeah, one of the last conversations I had with my younger son's teacher before 4th grade ended was like, he's doing really well at reading. He's right on track. And at that point, he still did kind of love reading, but only very specific books. And she's like, I know he really likes like those wimpy kid books and kind of graphic novel stuff, but you should start getting him into just more like regular novels, nonfiction things, and try to encourage him to read that stuff. And I remember just sitting there thinking, why? Does it matter which genre he's
here's Andrew Seidel's The Myth,
Read that and enjoy it, goddammit. Because if you don't fucking enjoy it,
The
it's going to
Founding
be on your
Myth.
permanent record, and you're never going to amount to anything.
I'm going to quiz you later. Read The Founding Myth. Do it.
Like, I love the idea of exposing kids to as much as you can possibly expose them to, which is something I think school usually does pretty well, introducing them to so many different topics and people and subjects, and a lot of times that's where they learn to kind of fall in love with a subject.
Yeah, because they're going to find one that they're like, this is cool.
Yeah, and if you've never heard of that thing, then you're never going to get interested in it. But like at the same time, that doesn't mean that every single thing they introduce to kids is going to be something that all kids love doing,
No. Yeah,
oh my God, I saw the Instacart shopper through my window. She brought the ice. Yes!
All right, there you go.
I'm sitting in my office downstairs and I can see her walking from the... No, it's...
Now you can destroy your teeth in perpetuity.
Oh God, I'm so excited. You have no idea. Fun fact, chewing on ice is a symptom of iron deficiency. So I should probably go get my blood drawn and tested, but I don't want to because right now I'm enjoying chewing on ice. It's fun. Keeps me hydrated. Like, I'm not a natural. I don't like drinking stuff all day, so I can just crunch on ice, and it's good for me. That's what I'm telling myself.
I wonder if it extends to like other things. Because I don't chew on ice anymore because my teeth are terrible. But I wonder if it extends to like other like fidgety things because I am a fidget monster.
It's also a sign of anxiety. Like something a lot of people with anxiety do is but truly for me, it's just. The only times I've ever wanted to eat ice cubes is when I've had low iron, and I've actually had to go in and get like iron infusions. Like it was that low.
Wow. So I wonder if it is specific. Like it's like you only want to chew. Like it's just ice that you want to chew. Like you wouldn't find a piece of plastic and be like, I want to chew on that piece of plastic.
Nope, just ice.
Ice.
The weird thing is how quickly the craving goes away once I have iron in my system. Like. The last time it happened, I remember getting, like, you have to go to a hospital and sit there for a few hours while they're running iron through your IV. And it's like that day, you just go, nah, I don't want to do that anymore. That doesn't sound good.
I'm just not feeling it.
Yeah, I don't need this. I don't need to stock up on ice cubes constantly anymore. I think I'll be fine.
That's fascinating.
Isn't it? Like, bodies are so weird.
They are, dude. Yeah. And the fact that your brain can be like altered by like something that like it's almost like the banana and chocolate thing where like you're really craving chocolate. They're like, if you eat a banana you won't crave chocolate anymore.
I did not know that.
Yeah, well, apparently it's the potassium, but there's like potassium in chocolate. But your brain like is like trying to look for something that you want that it knows that you like that has potassium. So it's like chocolate, boom, and then like you just go, okay, what about a banana? And then it's like, yeah, okay, you're good, we're good, we're all good here.
I mean, I've definitely learned. Like, I always knew it, but I feel like I really feel it now that your body tells you what you need. Like, what vitamins and minerals you're missing, and you seek those foods out. And, right now my youngest is really into canned chicken and eating that nonstop all the fucking time. So I'm just like, maybe he just needs protein. It'll be fine. It'll work itself out.
Yeah.
Not too worried
He
about
eats canned chicken. Like you just.
Isn't that gross? Oh my god.
Yeah, I don't.
So disgusting.
It's. I feel like I'm eating tuna the whole time. I don't know.
I can't with I love tuna, but canned chicken I can't. Even smelling it makes me want to vomit. It's disgusting.
It does smell weird.
Yeah. Anyway, it's been about an hour, and I have some more. I need to go screw some nails into the walls, just willy-nilly, because that's my thing lately.
Just random.
I've graduated from a hammer and pocket full of nails to a pocket full of screws and a screw gun, and we're just going to have hooks all over this house to hang things on, so nothing can be on the fucking floor anymore.
Here you go. Hey.
I'm sick of shit being on the floor.
You're like, guys, tie the shoestrings together. There's a hook right there. What the fuck? Come on.
This is not
Jesus.
hard. Oh my god. Oh, here comes Chappie for the end of the podcast.
Chappie!
Yeah, you weren't here before. So, let people know again where they can find you and your better half, Nikki, at.
Let's see. You can find us at www.unapologetix666.wixsite.com/my site, and that gets you pretty much to everything. And I feel like I did
I'll
that.
put a link in the show notes.
correctly.
That's way easier than remembering that long-ass website.
It's not that okay.
It's really long.
It's fine. Like
Fun fact, for $12, you can buy a domain name, and it's just $12 for the whole year, and you can forward your website right to that domain name. So you could be like unapologetix.com. So if that's something you're interested in.
feeling personally attacked here.
I could hook you up with that. I'm just saying. That's a thing that exists. So
I mean, $12 is kind of steep. I mean,
it is. I mean, you have to have at least like one patron to get the burn. Thank you so much for coming on, though. At the well, I guess it's not really the last minute, but thank you for filling in for Amy with an I and letting me ramble about unschooling and
absolutely
telling us all about your horrible homeschooling experience. And yeah, we'll have to do it again sometime. If you want to become a patron of the show, please go to www.patreon.com/secularsoup, I think. Pretty sure that's the link. I don't know. It'll be in the show notes. You can do the same thing for the Unapologetix podcast. And right now they have less patrons than we do, so I would even say maybe go give them some of your money first. That would put us on more even footing, and you'll feel good about what you're doing. So,
yeah, we need it. You know?
Yeah. And seriously, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Unapologetix, one of the most underrated podcasts on the podcastosphere. It is so interesting, and just I always learn something every time I listen to it. So. Go check them out, and yeah, I think that's it. We will see you next time. Say goodbye, Brently.
All right. Take it easy. Thank you.
That's the noodle to brag.
And it's that time once again to give credit to our wonderful patrons. If you want to join us, go on patreon.com/secularsoup. We would love to have you send us money so we can buy nail polish. We already have several wonderful patrons, and if you pledge to our show at the $6.66 a month level, we give you a shout out on every episode. So this round, our Devil's Chili patrons are Lois, April, Schmishtina, Paul, Freethinker215, Life in the Left Lane Podcast, Yesh, Natalie, Maddie, and Nuggin. I think. And I'm just, Patreon is kind of the worst with their lists, so I'm hoping I didn't leave anybody out. Then we have the $10 level. $10 level, you get all the good stuff like early access to episodes, extra episodes, all that shit. But you also get a handmade soup bowl made by yours truly that is personalized. So for everybody who gets one, I put their name on it and I add some little unique stuff. I don't know. No two things are exactly the same. They usually have dicks on them, fair warning. But, you know, it's sometimes lately I haven't been doing it as much. It just depends on what kind of a mood I'm in. You may have like 25 dicks on the bowl. You may have none. Who knows? Luck of the draw. Our $10 a month patrons currently are Patreon customer service sucks donkey balls, I am not going to disagree with that. I bet they do. I don't think I've ever had to use the customer service, but I'm right there with you. It probably sucks donkey balls. We've also got Renee, Elven Engineer, Verlaine, Ricola. Can't believe you made me say that. And Wendy and our 62nd favorite, Rich. Really having a hard time picking those rankings. They're different every week, and it's too much brain power for me to think of them. So then we have our $20 a week level, which is our a week. No, that would be a lot of fucking money. $20 a month level, which is our premier blueberry dessert soup level, and it's not $20 a week. Although if you want to give us $20 a week, I'm down with that. You can always send us $20 a week if you feel like it. At that spot, we have got our favorite patron ever, Ashley. The next okay patron, whose name is Randall. Randall's okay. He's fine. We've met Randall. He's perfectly adequate. Just isn't Ashley. That's all. But there's nothing wrong with being Randall and not Ashley. We also have Keira Knightley is my favorite atheist. I had no idea Keira Knightley was an atheist, but cool. We need more. I find that British people tend more to be atheists, and I'm sure there's a reason for that, but they seem to be a lot more likely than Americans to be atheists. Neither here nor there. At the top spot, once again, the reigning champion at $42 a month, which has bought me so much goddamn nail polish. And Amy's been getting drunk on whiskey for ages on this $42 a month, is Just John from now on. So thank you, Just John from now on. We appreciate that cash. We have all kinds of plans for if we ever get more money. We want to kind of invest in some new equipment, but let's get real. We're just going to buy more nail polish because we're women and that's what we do. So thank you so much to all of our wonderful patrons. If you would like to become one of our patrons, like I said, go to patreon.com/secularsoup. You will get early access to every episode. Basically, you get it as soon as I get done editing it. And then it'll sit there for a while until I feel like releasing it to the public. And you will also get several bonus episodes. You'll get all of the Conspiracy Chowder episodes, and just some kind of random bonus stuff we do. We also have extended episodes. We did not do it this time, but usually we have an extended episode where Amy and I read from old-timey advice books, and yeah, it's a good time. So hope you'll do that. Hope you'll join our Patreon family, and I will see you all next time.
Thanks to all of you motherfuckers who put up with the Amy's droning on week after week. If you enjoy their delightful bitchcraft, please follow them on all of the social medias and send them all of your money on Patreon or PayPal. You can find them on these platforms by using the Google machine. It's not hard. If you want to bitch with other fans about the show, join the Secret Soup Talk Facebook group. If you want to tell Amy and Amy to fuck off personally, you can send an email to secularsouppodcast@gmail.com, although it may go unanswered. Please rate and review the show on iTunes, Facebook, and wherever else you can review things like this. It will help spread the soup gospel far and wide. And hey, text someone right now. Tell your friends. As always, we'll leave you with the vocal stylings of Mr. Eli Bosnick.
Secular soup creed. Soup is the ultimate virtue. It's delicious, nutritious, patriarchy smashing, racism fighting, warm and fuzzy, human affirming, fun having, anti-theist, glitter throwing, tummy satisfying, pair of new shoes fulfilling, diversity seeking, happiness. Minestrone, beef and barley, chicken broth and split pea, gazpacho, tomato, clam chowder and potato, chicken noodle, beef noodle, egg drop and ramen cup, miso, gumbo, leek and pho. Grab a bowl and taste the magic. Slurp even this.
Okay, so are you recording on your end, or can you record on your end?
Yeah, I think I can. I can record.
Like we
on
could
my
try
end.
the clap thing and see if it works this time.
Yeah, okay. I'll try to be better about it this time. Jesus Christ.
It makes for great outtakes, though.
It does, right?
It's really fun. So, Yeah.
That's funny. It's so weird to me that like the computer can do the fucking, us talking and everything, but for whatever reason, the recording milieu only picks up me if I push record, and it doesn't pick you up.
Oh, it's because you have headphones on. I mean,
well, yeah.
But still.
I mean, shouldn't it? I don't know. I feel like it should pick up everything all the audio that's coming through this thing. It should record, but
I mean, kind of. But I guess if you think of the microphone as its own little person, and all it can hear is what's happening in the room, and it's not even connected to your headphones.
Right.
It would be like another person walking in, and they can only hear who's talking, and not the people in the headphones.
I got to figure out how to change that. I got to figure out how to get the. I don't know. It's weird.
I like to think of computer components like little people living in the computer.
I was gonna say, it
makes it make more sense.
Like My Name is Ed movie or whatever that movie was, where he's
Something like that.
controlled by all the little people.
Yeah, like that. Because technology makes no sense, but if I think about it that way.
Right.